if you want the relationship to work, whether it's personal or professional, you have to understand this is a two-way street. And it's not one way. That's the hard part. The two-way street has to have two people that come to it, to a place that want to overcome this challenge together.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I am here with my new best friend, Meredith, and this is such an exciting topic. Have you ever had a challenge? No. I mean, every part of my life has had a challenge, whether it's personal, professional, or all the other maybe things that are smaller subsets than those. And how do we get through them or deal with them or overcome them or find a path around them? And Meredith has this amazing way of looking at things through a controllable factor. What are the things I can control? So we are going to talk about how to deal with our challenges by identifying those things that we have control over. But before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, we're going to hear about how we figure out what are controllable factors. We'll be right back.
This is Adam Adams, co-founder of Optimized LLC, where we take the guesswork out of your health. If you're feeling exhausted, struggling with weight, or just not feeling yourself anymore, your hormones might be the problem. And that's why we test, not guess. Analyzing your blood work to pinpoint exactly what's holding you back. At Optimized LLC, we help you rebalance your hormones, boost energy, and reclaim your life. Don't settle for normal. Aim for optimized. Just go to optimized.com to book your free introductory coaching call. It's a free call to help you take the first step toward feeling your best.
All right, Meredith. I'm really excited about this and the information about using the show notes so our friend can get there whenever they want to find out more about you. But, I really liked the idea of, sometimes I get so overwhelmed because there's so many things I can't do. I can't even influence or do anything about the weather. I might be able to change where I go. But what are those things? What do I have to identify to really handle all the challenges I go through and make the best path through?
Yeah, first, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here. I really, really enjoy this topic of controllable factors. And as you had mentioned, everybody goes through circumstances and challenges. It is just something that will continue to occur. And what happens, you get so overwhelmed and burnt out over the things that you can't control, but yet that's the thing that we focus on the most. And so what I really want people to resonate with is the fact that there are things within your control and really taking ownership and accountability over the things that move the needle forward and don't hold you stuck in overwhelm or in burden or frustration, because we make a lot of assumptions around that as well. So an example I'd give you is other people's emotions. I have no control over that, and yet that does impact us a lot in day-to-day interactions. And so that's something that you can really only control what is within your parameter, what's within your communication, your mind. All of those things is what I really want people to resonate with.
It's a really good point because I can't control everything. And sometimes I just have to let that uncontrolled item be part of the process. And it's like the difference between an adult dog that minds and a puppy that just can't stop wiggling. I can't control that object until I've had time with it, until I figured it out, until they know what life's about. But not everything is ever controllable. Like there's things that'll always be out of our control. And those sometimes are our biggest stressors.
It really, really is. There's something in us that wants everything in a nice, neat bow, that wants everything 100% complete and perfect. We want to solve the mystery well before we have any of the clues. And that's the thing that you really have to, it's a process. And in this day and age when everything is about productivity now, quick, this process of controllable factors does slow you down, but it takes the burden off of you at least 80% or higher, in my opinion. So I really, really enjoy that.
I definitely want to know how to do this because it's definitely going to be something I can benefit from. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
do you have like a process to write down all the things I think I'm going to encounter? And it's kind of like putting me back in the unknown issue. Certain things are going to happen,
Yep.
but there's also things you're never going to be able to. You might be able to control them when they happen,
Yeah.
but I can only focus on the known things right now, right?
Yes, exactly. I have a couple of different things. And I want to say I feel seen because I know a lot of people think this feels like neuroses, or some people are going to say you're a control freak. And I don't view those as bad things because I know how much peace they bring me. But in an example is a really big vacation or day-to-day schedule when your schedule is unpredictable. You don't know when you're going to get a flat tire. You don't know if there's going to be a traffic jam or if you're going to leave the house 5 minutes late and every light's going to be red. And so if I have my schedule really set and things prepared on what I need to get in order to move from A to B, then that feels more controllable to me. It gives me the freedom to pivot. And so I know that the world in my day is not going to unfold exactly 100% the way that I thought it would. But if I had a schedule and I had a framework and I had decision-making processes in place, then it makes it more manageable. Then I know, oh, I can move my 11 o'clock slot down 30 minutes because I am going to have to bump in and pick up my children or go and pick up groceries 30 minutes earlier because my whole day has shifted. And in addition to that, I also use a decision tree matrix where I make really small micro moves of yes, no questions that I ask myself in a scenario. I do this a lot in having conversations with people when there is a communication breakdown. And so when they say, so and so didn't do the job they were supposed to, and I say, well, was the expectation clear? Yes, no. And they say, yes. Did they know exactly what they were supposed to do? Yes, no. And then they'll say, no. Okay, well, then that's a teachable moment in there that gets you moving in the right momentum towards a resolution. So those are some
I,
examples.
a lot of times that lack of communication, we're communicating, but
Mhm.
it's that missing element that
Yes.
can cause such a huge kabobble. It's like everything falls down because I forgot to tell you this one thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, that's why I have a check sheet.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's my way of making sure that I've gotten through everything that I feel needs to be gotten through, or for each project or for each thing I'm implementing, what are those key elements that need to be included so we don't forget?
Yeah, I think that you bring up a good point too, but you also do that to prepare yourself, but also out of respect for the other person you're engaging with, because you want that communication and clarity for them to know the journey they're on as well. And so that's the thing about communication and controlling how we communicate to others. And the most realistic example I could give is my husband and my communication. I make a lot of assumptions around a text message he may send me, but then what I can control is say, my husband's intent is never to make me upset or angry. Nobody ever goes into a conversation that says, I'm full tilt going to try to make this person upset. And so whenever I control my mindset and how I am reading something, how I'm receiving something, I can only go based off of facts. And so I have to ask for clarity. Did you mean to say this? This is what I interpreted. I use words like that so they understand how their communication affected me. So that's when I say controllable factors, because we do interject a lot of assumptions. That's just in our nature. And being clear is always being kind to other people. So when I think I'm giving you too much information, then you should just know I'm not talking down at you. I'm trying to give you as much information for you to flourish and you to be successful, whether your personal or professional life.
That's a really good point because I would say every relationship, whether it's you're living together or friends or, colleagues,
Mhm.
it's so easy because we've been raised so different. We interpret things differently. We frame our words differently. We use analogies different. And
Mhm.
it's just, how do I communicate with this one person? We
Mhm.
may have to be effective, you may have to adjust your style
Yep.
between multiple people. And, sometimes I don't want to. I just want to do it my way and nobody else's way because I am too a control freak.
Mhm. Mhm.
But, it's given me a very successful career. It's given me a very successful life. But
Yeah.
yes, I have to be able to. And I have this people say, well, you're stubborn. I go, nah, no way. But you know what? When something works and you're trying to tell me to do it another way, I am very stubborn
Mhm.
because I know it's going to cause a problem. And there's other times when I don't know and I'm not stubborn because I'm willing to learn. So those are some of those factors. Do you really know? Have you had experience? Or is this just an idea that might
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. I do think too that, especially in the example that you put up, does not mean that I don't get frustrated. It doesn't mean that when a circumstance happens and it's really challenging, that I don't want to just freeze or just be overwhelmed or just be frustrated. It's in that moment that you have to have the maturity and the sense to, okay, I'm mad for 5 Mississippis, took my time out. Now I have to refocus on the things that I have within my control. And as you had mentioned with the communication and the pieces of communication, we intentionally have to choose. These are all choices we have to make to be clear and to gain clarity in how people interact with us, because a tone in an email and a tone in a text message can rub me the wrong way. But I need people to understand, like, this is how I interpreted it. And please, this is how I would like us to proceed. I
Right.
probably sound like a difficult
You use
friend.
that one word that I think is negative. And
Yeah.
so now I think the whole text is negative.
Yes.
And I liken it, and I've said this before. So it's like that woman that has been in an abusive relationship, and
Mm,
every time she hears, I love you, she
mhm.
remembers the beating.
Yeah.
And so when she gets out of that relationship and you use the word love, it's not a
The
warm
same.
fuzzy.
Hmm.
And so by understanding who we are working with, we can choose words that don't trigger them. Because I try so hard with my husband not to trigger him. And I'm not saying he's easy to trigger. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I don't want to do it because I trigger him unintentionally and he triggers me unintentionally
Hmm.
a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
does that mean that we're having a bad relationship? No. It means we're learning each other's styles. We're
Hmm.
learning what each other does. And we need to do that with everybody we work with. And I know that sounds hard. And you say, I just want to be authentic and just be my way. You can do that. Get your tribe, get your friends, get those people you can do that with. But in the work environment, you need to be a little bit more flexible because you can't pick all the people you work with.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And I resonate so much with what you said. And my husband and I have a check to see if I've eaten anything before he can trigger me, because me not having any food versus me having food can interpret an entire conversation differently. But I think that people really, if you want the relationship to work, whether it's personal or professional, you have to understand this is a two-way street. It doesn't mean that, and it's not one way. That's the hard part. The two-way street has to have two people that come to it, to a place that want to overcome this challenge together. And as long as that's the clear goal, if that's the problem we're continuing to try to solve, then you can't also bring up another thing that happened last week. This is the problem we're trying to solve and get to. And you have to find the onus in yourself to lead you to that problem by controlling the conversation. because if not, you're just talking at each other. And so these are communications we've continued to have as examples for challenges, but I think that communication is one of the roots of success and the failures of our partnerships and relationships that we have. So
And since we've settled so much on communication,
we
which is
have.
so critical in everything, I have control
Mhm.
over how I deliver something.
Yes.
I have control how I respond. I don't have control over how somebody else delivers or how somebody else responds.
Yep.
But I can take that moment to dive in and try to understand if there's a disconnect. And so
Yep.
those are controllable items, but you also have to understand that sometimes it takes time to understand the other person and really
Yes.
getting that openness and giving people that safe place to share why or what triggered them
Mhm. Yeah.
because you're going to keep doing it if you don't.
Yeah. And you have to get to such a place of growth and insight that you know yourself well enough to practice this. And so that's what you need to continually practice is your control over your communication style. And you had also brought in how you choose to interpret everybody's words. And I always want to make sure that I know and I practice that everybody's intention when they wake up in the morning is to not hurt me, try to upset me, try to disrupt me, try to do anything like that. So that's a person to person. But when I can't control a situation with people that I don't know, that's where I really have to focus on, okay, what responsibility of mine is in here? What do I even need to do in this situation? Or who do I need to be in this moment? Can also bring you clarity. If you ask yourself questions instead of just feeling the emotion that's happening, if you ground yourself for a minute and ask yourself, one, what's controllable here? What's true? Because we tell ourselves a lot of things that aren't true. We make a lot of assumptions. And what problem do I need to solve? What am I actually trying to solve? That stops the chaos from coming into your mind and coming into the situation as well.
I was thinking about, have you ever been in a restaurant? Okay, yes, we've all been in a restaurant, but the waitress comes by at the end of your meal. She has a ticket. She just kind of slams it down and walks away.
Mm.
And you kind of go, oh, is she pissed at us? Is she in a hurry? I mean, you could interpret the motions and what she was doing as very deliberate against you. Or
Yeah.
maybe she had to pee so bad. She's just like holding it and it's like, get this up, run to the bathroom, I'll be back. And we don't know what's going on in their head. And
Hmm.
90% of the time, I interpret it as, oh, they don't want to talk to us. They're being
Yeah.
rude. They don't like us. I was like, no, Jane, that's not the way this is. She loves you too.
This had nothing to do with us. Another
Right.
thing happens somewhere.
Something else
Yeah.
is going on. Back
Hmm.
down because we don't know it all.
Yeah.
And it's taking those moments to let go
Yeah.
of those assumptions that we are coming up with and
Yeah.
go, what is true?
Hmm. I always joke around because one of the biggest things that irks people the most is traffic, unplanned, unprepared traffic. And I've lived in Southern California and I've lived in Texas. Traffic just pops out of nowhere and there's nothing going on. And the amount of practice it's taken me to get to a level where I can sit in 2 hours of traffic and just be like, everybody else is going through this. I'm not the special one in this moment. I can control zero things here. I don't know what's to come. I don't know what was behind. You have zero control over getting to where you're actually supposed to go. And that is freeing to me, but not a lot of people view that. So you hear the horns honking and you hear all of these things, but there's been some special moments that you hear of stories that because you were in a moment of pause, you avoided something even more critical happening. And so I always just feel that like, oh, I'm in a moment of pause. because whatever was going to happen to me before was not supposed to happen. Or that's like how I shift my mindset in something that's so uncontrollable. I miss a flight or my flight gets delayed. I'm not the only one impacted. And so when I understand that others are going through the same thing as I am, and we all have zero control over this, then I have to really shift my mindset into not from a victim mentality or not from this is happening just to me and I'm so unlucky. It's more of, okay, I'm not the only one. What's the next action I can do? I can rebook my flight. I can cancel the appointment I was late to. Like those are the things that I have control over.
How do you go into a situation that you're analyzing for, like, do I want to do X? Let's
Mhm.
pretend like we're going on a girls' retreat and we're
Oh,
trying to
yes.
figure this out and we're trying to identify what are my controllable factors?
Yep.
What are the things I have no control over?
Mhm.
And how do I balance the two so that I have fun and I don't have that person come by and slam a receipt down on my desk and all of a sudden ruin my whole retreat because I chose to take it negatively?
Yeah. Um, One, control is fun. No, I'm just joking. I think control is fun. Um, but what I here's what's interesting to me, and I don't know that everybody wants to practice this, but I do create a pseudo itinerary because I like people to like, hey, let's do these 5 things. We can control the flight, we can control when we leave, where we're going to stay, what are our top 5 things to do when we arrive. Say you and I are going to Cancun, all inclusive, drinks, whatever. What are your top 5 things? Parasailing, this, and this. Okay, there's 6 of us going. Let's all agree on a plan. And then we get there and we have a person who our flight gets delayed. Okay, let's reroute it. That would be my first initial thing. Like, here's my faux itinerary.
We're
Um,
going to miss opening ceremonies.
we're
Come
gonna miss
on, we got to
opening
hurry.
ceremonies. Yep. And that's what I mean. So, like, different things like that. Okay, well, then now that there's no opening ceremonies, what else is on the list? What was our fallback thing to do? We also had a rude person interact with us. I think it's my obligation if someone treats me in a way that crosses a boundary on how I want to be treated to ask them if everything's okay and if I can help. I like to
Oh,
hold up a mirror
I
to
like
folks
that.
and say, I'm here if you need somebody. But I also let them see you're treating me in a way that's different than I want to be treated in a very respectful way. So,
I've said stuff like that before. Like, you seem really rushed. Are you doing okay?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
taking it as somebody cares.
Yep.
Sometimes people go through days of life,
Mhm.
years without knowing anybody cares.
Yeah.
And take that one opportunity to say, are you doing okay?
I see you. I see you. And I want to know if there's anything I can do to help or what's going on. And not in a rude way, like, are you okay? Like anything like that. I genuinely want to know because I feel like you're in this service industry and that's not the person you want to display. Sometimes they'll be rude back, and I'm like, okay, then that's my answer. But what was controllable and how I took that and how I processed how they treated me. And if it was egregious enough, I would address it. If it was just like, oh, they're rushed and it's fine, then I'm like, hey, girls, let's go on our way. You know, the open bars is calling us and the pool.
That was way more fun than the opening ceremonies.
Exactly. So those are the things that it's really into mindset, how you choose to let things happen to you. I let things happen through me. I don't let things happen to me. I also like to just really figure out what's within my control because just we always focus on what's outside of our control. And that's not really helpful as far as where you're trying to move the needle. And that's really I think it's fun. I really do find so many circumstances that pop up that mind shift has allowed me to really just pivot and let things roll off my shoulders. Because when you don't, you're carrying every issue that hits you like a brick when you could carry it like a feather. It's a feather to me now.
That sounds amazing because that's easy to carry, right?
Yes.
So you talked about your decision tree. Do you have standard questions that you ask everything that you go through? Or do you make it up each time you're going through a new situation as here's what I need to ask myself?
The top question is what I'm trying to solve. What does success look like? What am I trying to solve? Right? That's the first question. Um, an example I could give you here is I have a flat tire. What am I trying to solve? Okay. Can I change the flat tire? Do I have a spare flat tire? Yes, no. Do I have AAA or another service that could fix it? Yes, no. Can I change the tire myself? I'm just going to go automatically to no. Like
I
though,
don't want to. I'm in a dress.
yeah, yeah. So don't focus on the problem, focus on the resolution when you're asking yourself questions in the decision tree matrix. A lot of people, when I'm coaching, if I'm doing leadership or coaching as a manager in the professional world, people always come with the problem. And then I always ask them those questions like, what does success look like there? They would have done their entire job exactly how I told them to do it. Okay, well, was the expectation clear? Yes, no. Then they say yes. And I'm like, okay, well, was the process documented? Yes, no, because the expectation has to have some sort of form of training or anything like that. So those are the two questions that I really rely upon are in both situation or not both, but in the management and leadership one. It's usually a breakdown in communication if you're missing the process or anything like that.
I was offered a job once specifically because I came to them with the solution instead of the problem.
Yep.
Hey, I know we're supposed to have an interview at this time. I cannot get a flight there that is on time.
Hmm.
Here are the 2 flights I can get. Here's the time they arrive. Can we adjust the interview? Instead of, can't come. Sorry.
You
You know,
figure it out. Yeah. You know
like,
what I mean?
so
Yeah.
you take those moments and you say, here's our options. What
Yes.
works? And wow, how much easier is it to deal with when you have someone that says, hey, here's our options. What do you think? Instead of, well, let's go on vacation. Okay, when? I don't
Hmm.
know. Okay. Does July work? Does December work? You know, no, 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 no. Well, then don't ask me to go on vacation until you come up with a date. Like,
Yeah.
and so I can't move forward until I have more parameters. Um, but some people aren't solution oriented, and
No.
that's okay.
Hmm.
I am solution oriented. I can help.
Yeah, I think you bring up such a great point because when you make those recommendations, they also work for you. You're trying to be accommodating for more than you, and they work for you. But the person on the other end, it's such a gift to them. And you're like, really? Because it worked for me. So I actually provided you a solution that works for me. And not only does it work for you, I also took work away from you to think about it. And that's what I do also love to control myself because I think that that provides people a lot of a burden lift when they're so overwhelmed in their schedule and their day-to-day actions. I will usually say, "Want to catch lunch?" And instead of us going back and forth in text messages, I'm like, "Want to catch lunch? I'm free these days at these times." And then they get to make a decision. They don't have to think about and then respond with 5 other text messages. We're efficient, we're streamlined, took the burden off of both of us, and that's freeing. But not everybody's mind works that way. So it's really what is the opportunity here for you to practice really small pivots in your
Mhm.
mindset to you're not going to control everything overnight. You and I really love it and we thrive in it. But people who are not used to it, just really stopping and saying, what's true, what's within my control in this moment. An example, or what we would say is, I've got to get the kids to school. I haven't packed their lunches. You just focus on all of the different scenarios that are going wrong. What's the first thing that I can cross off that list? You may not be
I
able to
got
cross all
10 bucks
10.
in my pocket.
Yep,
Here's go buy
there's
a
lunch.
lunch.
Yeah,
Here's
yep.
DoorDash it.
And we have to be okay with not completing all the 10 chaotic things that are happening in a bad circumstance. You're not going to fix everything in there, but it's going to feel magical to fix 1 or 2 things that are going wrong.
In IT, we call it the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
What is that easy thing that I can fix right now that's going to make the biggest difference?
Mhm.
And focus on that because I can keep trying to go for the apple at the top of the tree, but it's going to take me longer and someone's going to be dissatisfied with what they have now longer because I'm trying to make it perfect.
Yeah.
And, that when they started coming up with minimum viable product, what is the minimum I can get by with and
Mhm.
still be productive? Where in my early career, it has to be perfect and it has to have everything I'm ever going to need
Yeah.
before we can roll this out. And how many things didn't work because industries and desires change.
Mhm.
And by the time you get it perfect, it's not perfect anymore.
Yeah. I don't think that people really consider too how much time it unlocks for you to focus only on the things that you have control and can move forward. And that is a practice I've learned in my early 20s. And that's when I was like taking care of my mom, going to school full time, working full time. And I had to really understand how to maximize all of the tasks that I had to complete and be responsible for in the amount of hours that I could get it done in. And when I was like, I'm only focusing, as you said, on low hanging fruit, the things that I can chip away. I have an hour. I'm completing these 15 things, really being detailed and focused on writing down my action plans to be able to overcome and succeed in the goals that I set for myself.
And if it's a personal thing I'm doing, I don't always write it down. But if it's something bigger, it's always written down so it's
Yeah.
easy to communicate.
We just found out I'm more of a control freak than you are.
Yes. Haha. I'm not the
Yeah.
word. I
You're,
actually it'd be the best because I think it's important to. I try to control me, you
yes.
know, and I can't control anything outside of me, but I can control me.
Yeah,
And
and I think the good news is our intention is good, and we don't force it on anybody. I don't force it, you don't force it on anybody else, and our intention is good, wanting to lead them towards unburdening or the overwhelm that they're feeling. So, we joke around, I say controllable factors, I know it, but just small micro control maybe for
you
other
know,
people.
but if you can control it. When I get the most frustrated is trying to juggle a bunch of balls and the people keep throwing more at me and throwing more at me. And all of a sudden, I just have to say, I'm done.
Yep.
I've got to walk away.
Yep.
When I come back with my clear head, I will pick up the most important one and deal with it. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep juggling all this stuff because you keep throwing it my way. And so, I mean, you can do it like I would tell people before I ever got hired, this is the way I operate because I
Mhm.
didn't want it to be a surprise. It's like, I'm going to control your response ahead of time
Mhm.
and know this is how I handle it and that I can still make it through. But I think people appreciate knowing where your limit is and knowing that you know how to deal with it so they
Yeah.
don't have to.
We should get over the stigma of control being an image of like a clenched fist or something being held very tightly and really associate it more with how much peace it brings you when you have a plan. And even if people were to continue to throw the balls, in your day to day schedule, you still have a semblance of framework and a schedule to catch them and then also share your boundaries and say, which one of these are important to you? What does success look like here? Me completing these tasks or me taking on the things that you're throwing at me unplanned? Because I don't think people also understand what they throw at you that in comparison to what you already have on your plate. And then I get someone else to choose. Okay, what's your highest priority here? You get to
You know,
tell me now.
yeah, when you're talking, it's like I imagine this riverbed. The
Mhm.
riverbed controls the river,
Mhm.
but it doesn't.
Yeah.
I control my life like a riverbed, and other things flow through just fine, and some things touch the edges and know they're being controlled. But
Yep.
for the most part, it's just flowing.
Just
And
flows through.
that's the type of control we want is here's the edges. And as you stay in this realm, we're okay, but you try to get out of it, I'm going to push you back in.
Yep.
And it's just to keep us all going to the same place.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think that those are all it's all in good fun for us to say that controllable factors are um, painting this picture of anything other than bringing you peace, allowing it to flow. I always tell people I'm not one that goes with the flow. I have to ask the temperature of the water. How long are we on the flow? What snacks? What do I wear? Like all of those things. But that clarity and that peace of mind for me to be able to know the boundaries of the waterbed that you were mentioning does help significantly in your day to day. So, as much as people can continue to practice that and understand, there are more things in your control than you think, and that you have to intentionally look for them and move that needle forward.
I love that you constantly bring us back to moving the needle forward,
Yep.
controlling or focusing on a solution or communicating to go backwards. We're
Hmm.
communicating and doing all these things for progress. And so, what is it? Where am I going? How do I want to get there? Who do I want to go with me?
Hmm.
How long is it going to take? And you kind of get your boundaries, and then you can start moving forward.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, Meredith, tell our friend a little bit about you, what you
Oh, yeah.
do, and what is that one thing we can do this week to bring us that one additional tool to
Mhm.
help us have our best life?
Yeah, I am, Meredith, and I have been in the tech world for about 15 years. Before that was accounting, but really my career did not come into a vision of what I was doing. At 23 years old, I had a really, big circumstance that happened where my mom became quadriplegic overnight, and then I instantly became her sole caregiver financially, emotionally, physically. And so that's where the lessons of controllable factors and kindness and communication is where I had to start exercising that practice because you don't get a lot of respect at such a young age to have to make medical decisions or have to do a lot of those things. And so I had to learn very quickly. Um, Through that journey, going to school full time, taking care of my mom, establishing a career has led me to now in my 40s starting my own business, which is technology and business consulting. And then I do keynote speaking and public speaking on the side around unlocking your potential, leadership guidance, and perseverance. And so all of these lessons are things that I like people to resonate with. I want people to take away from our conversation. I want our listener to know to focus on what's yours to carry. To focus on exactly what it is that success looks like for you and not to really resonate on the success of everybody else around you because you can't control that all the time. And so that's probably the biggest lesson is
Mhm.
focus on what's yours to carry, not what all you can carry because you can carry a lot.
So, identifying I'm frustrated.
Yep.
What is mine? What in this my job to do? And what
Mhm.
is it that I just need to learn to react differently to? Because shit's going to happen
Yeah.
and we're going to have to deal with it. And I'm thankful for all it.
Mhm.
You get right into it and you go, whoa, had all that stuff throughout my life not happened, I would be really boring.
Yeah.
Like, or really weak. I don't know. You gain a lot of strength through your adversity. You gain a lot of knowledge. And so just identifying what's mine. It's not my circus, but this is my monkey.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. It's the other one that I really resonate with is I can't control the storm, but I can adjust my sails, right? That's the biggest analogy to paint that picture all the time. But sometimes we put ourselves in the storm because we make assumptions, because we choose to interpret a particular way someone's talking to us or treating us. So if you continue to keep your mind focused on everybody shows up every day with the intention of living their best day, right? their intention isn't to hurt you. So what in this is my success, what is mine to carry, allows you to focus on your growth and your development. And we don't have to have it all figured out in that nice, pretty box with the bow like we want to. The mystery solved before we have any of the clues type of mindset that we have.
I can have an idea where I want to go, but I also can give myself the freedom to change direction whenever I feel I want to
Mhm.
go somewhere else. I can keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And the steps I'm taking now aren't a waste to the steps I'm going to take when I change directions. It's gotten me closer. And so
Yeah.
just know that every step you take, you're closer to where you want to be, even if where you want to be changes.
Yeah. Great advice.
I love it, Meredith. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fun. I love this controllable factors because it really does narrow us down to what is in my control and what do I need to just push aside and allow, you know,
Mhm.
allow it to happen. My husband always, the art of allowing, you must allow because you can't control everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's okay. And I'm okay with that. I've learned that I don't have to control everything. And so can us all. Because,
Yeah.
us high achieving women, we like to have some control around us. At least
Mhm.
calm the storms.
Mhm.
Anyway, Meredith and I are not medical or mental licensed professionals. We're here for entertainment. People have been down a road and would love to help shine a light on yours to help you see your path clearly. And the information about her is in the show notes if you want to get a hold of her. So thank you and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.